everybody. It's Sarcasm Speaks. Jared and Bob here. We got a special guest today. We got Shawn from the Growth by Shawn podcast.
Hell yeah.
Which you can find on Spotify and anywhere else.
I don't know. I say it's I say all streaming platforms, but like I know that it uploads to Apple Podcasts and iTunes and Spotify, and that's all I know. But like on like my Buzzsprout, it'll say, oh, you had 4 downloads from unknown like sites or something, and I'm like, all right, so it's got to be somewhere else.
Yeah, it's probably everywhere. If you usually if you host it on a site like a Buzzsprout or a Podbean or a Anchor or any of those, I think it automatically just disperses it to all platforms.
So I think it's everywhere. You can
they better. I mean, you got to pay for them to fucking host it. So
yeah, exactly. It's like it's reasonable though. It's like $13 a month.
Yeah. I was gonna say I think we pay like $140 a year.
Yeah.
So
no, it's really not that bad.
It's not that bad. And it's like they host your shit forever and you don't run out of storage space, as far as I know.
Yeah, exactly.
We haven't run out yet, and we have 336 episodes or something like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, more actually, because we did some gambling only episodes for a while that we renumbered those ones.
It's pretty sweet.
So yeah, we're probably closing in on 350 episodes.
Do you guys have like a special episode that's coming for like 500 or something? Because you're approaching that.
Yeah, potentially. I mean,
okay.
I think I haven't done it out yet. I don't think we'll get to 500 this year. I think 500 would be next year.
Okay.
At some point, but because we
300 snuck up on us.
Yeah, 300. I was not ready for.
We weren't even ready for 300.
No. Was that the wing challenge?
No, but I think you were over here. I think we just got kind of hammered in the basement. And
yes, that's exactly what happened. Yeah.
And we recorded, I think we recorded 2, and one of them was 300. We weren't sure which one.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That checks out. I remember that night. That was fun.
Okay. I also think we were getting ahead of schedule for Charlotte. And then by getting ahead of schedule, we truthfully had no idea where we were.
Yeah. And then half the time, like, I don't even know what days we're on, what episodes it is. Cause we typically, more often than not, have a strict recording schedule. Like we record Sunday night to put it out on Monday. And then we do Tuesday night to put it out on Thursday. But there's times where like we have shit going on in life and we have to like get a bunch of episodes recorded up front because we're going away somewhere, or like, if Bob's got to cover for someone at work, he's not, we got to switch days. And so when we go through shit like that, I truthfully like have no idea. Like I'm like, I don't know what day it is anymore because we're not recording on it on the day we normally do.
mine's like super sporadic. Like I make sure that I have an episode ready for each Monday. But like other than that, like I will just record, like I recorded like 5 in the last like 4 days. Yeah. And then I'll just save them all up. And then if I have like no one new to like talk, like I'll try to spread them out for every Monday. Sometimes I'll just drop one on like a Thursday or a Friday randomly. And then once I start running out, I'm like, shit, I either got to get someone else on, or I'll just like, if worse comes to worse, I'm just like, all right, well, I'm going solo. So that's it.
Yeah. How's the solo podcast go?
I kind of hate it, to be honest. Like I get the best feedback on the solo episodes, to be honest. There's this one girl that listens to every single podcast episode. And she's a friend with quotation marks. I don't know. She'll probably listen to this, so I don't want to badmouth her. She's a very nice person, but I don't even know. Like she listens to every single one, and I'm like, hey, you know what? Thank you for being a stalker fan. You know? Like that's as far as it's gone.
It gives you a little bit of imposter syndrome, right? Like Like by no means are
does.
we famous. Like we
No.
either. Like
Yeah.
we've gone over 100 downloads on like maybe a dozen episodes like throughout our history, throughout the 350 episodes, like a dozen of them have gone over 100 downloads.
Yeah.
But it's still weird to be like, there's a lot of people that listen to me talk about dumb shit.
It's very interesting. Like, I'm like, I have imposter syndrome all the time. I'm like, who the fuck would want to listen to me? Honestly, I have no idea. Like, when you play something back, the biggest thing for me is like when I play something back and listen to my voice, I'm like, this is disgusting. Like, no one's gonna listen to this, you know? Like, that's my biggest thing. But you know what? I was talking with someone and they were talking about imposter syndrome, and they were like, honestly, I love imposter syndrome. And I was like, you're fucked. But they were like, no, it just shows that like you care. And I was like, well, I guess that kind of makes sense in a way.
Yeah.
You know, kind of,
because it's like a way to hold yourself accountable, I suppose, like in an indirect way.
It's almost like I don't feel like I'm good enough in terms of like, who would really want to listen to some like random shit that I'm just trying to put out there? But at the same time, it's just like, oh wow, you know what? I actually am just trying to produce something that's at least meaningful in some way to me and will hopefully help someone else. Yeah. And so it kind of shows that, hey, you know, at least I'm not just trying to destroy the world with my podcast. You know, that'd be bad.
It's fun, or I wouldn't, maybe fun's the wrong word. It's interesting and funny to go back and listen to old episodes that we've done. So we've been doing this for 3 years, a little over 3 years.
Yeah.
We started in December of 2018. So when we first started, like it's hilarious because we have no fucking clue what we're doing. Yep. We're like trying to figure shit out on the fly, which we do still now sometimes anyway.
Yeah.
But we're literally like talking through it. Like, I have no idea what this button on the soundboard does. I'm going to hopefully it doesn't cut the audio. You know, like we would just talk through shit like that and being like, I think the camera just died. I don't know what's going on.
That was a problem at first. The camera was always fucking dead. Like we'd be looking over at it. Like some people can't fucking sleep at night because they're wondering if the fucking door's locked. Like we're mid rant and going, wait, did the camera just give out?
Yeah. And it's just funny to see like how it evolves and like the things you talk about and like almost like the person that you are really. Like when we first started it too, I definitely was trying to be a little more hardcore because of the podcast that I listened to at the time. Like I was listening to the Drinking Bros podcast, which I still do sparingly every now and then, but even the cast is different. So like the guys that are on Drinking Bros are different. So I was listening to that. I was listening to like Fighter and the Kid with Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen. What else was I listening to back then? There was another one that was like wild. But like, so when we started the podcast, what I was doing was like, I thought people like in order to have a successful podcast, you had to be like bombastic and like talk about like fucked up shit all the time. Yeah. And then like, as we started going, I was like, I certainly still do say some fucked up shit every now and then, but like, I don't make it a point to like go out of my way. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like if you listen to some of the early episodes, you're like, wow, this guy's a total fucking douchebag, which probably isn't wrong.
Yeah,
but
no.
It was a little bit of a character. Like I wasn't like a total
showmanship.
It was showmanship. Yeah. Like I wasn't fake. Like I wasn't pretending to be someone else. No. But I was laying it on thick, I would say. You know,
it's just weird how we can be so heavily influenced by things. I think that's the thing that gets me.
Yeah.
Like I remember when like COVID happened and everything, and I wasn't working, whatever, everything was shut down. I got into this like weird like men's space of like super like red pill content. And like I watched like every single video that every red pill dude had, and I was like, women are the worst. Like every girl that you're gonna be with is gonna cheat on you. You just need to be in a poly relationship. Like if I ever have money, like I need to sign a prenup immediately. Like I got wicked heavily influenced into it. And I was like months later, I was like, what am I doing? This is not what I believe at all. Like not one bit. And then it's just so weird. Like I went through my Instagram even, and like all the people that I follow, like maybe like 3 or 4 months ago. And I was like, I don't like this person. I don't like this person. I don't like this person. And I unfollowed like 50 accounts that I was following.
Yeah.
Just because of like how influenced I can be, just based on, because I see it all the time. Like not even, I don't know.
Well, you think about like, so I don't know what your average screen time is, but depending on the week, like mine usually comes in somewhere between 4 and 5 hours, depending on like how much I actually work that week. But then sometimes too, like I'm on my phone doing work stuff, whether it's like sending emails or like posting to like our Instagram, or, you know, looking at not so much work, but looking at like golf stats to like write articles and things like that. But you think like if you spend anywhere between 4 to 5 hours a day on your phone, and say somewhere between 2 to 3 hours of that is Instagram.
Yeah.
And all you're seeing for 2 to 3 hours every day is that type of shit. Like it's going to influence you somehow, you know?
100%. Yep.
Like I've actually gone out of my way over the last like 3 months to like change my algorithm. So I did some similar to what you said. Like I went through and I unfollowed a bunch of people, but for me, it was mostly like people from home that I grew up with that I haven't talked to in the last 7 years. And I'm like, yeah, I don't give a shit about you. Like I don't care. I'm not talking to you ever again. Like I want to see some interesting shit.
Yeah.
So I started liking like dog photos and like food stuff. And now like my Instagram is all dogs and food and like sports, you know, like there's like some betting stuff, but like before 4 months ago, so like 6 months ago, it was all like bodybuilding girls and like or CrossFit girls and like fucking, I don't even know, like college frat shit. Like dudes like Barstool, or like what's the other one that's like Barstool, but it's like just an Instagram page. Old
like
Bro.
The smoke. Oh, okay. Okay.
It was like all shit from there. And I'm like, I kind of am over this. Like I want to see like, because I also wasn't seeing shit from like my friends or like anything like that. So I went through and I was like, yeah, man, I follow at that time. I think I followed like 900 and something people. And I cut it down. I think I'm still in the 700s, which is way too much. Like there's a lot of shit that I'm missing from people, but you know, it's at least 200 less than I had 6 months ago.
I put like I set one of those timers for like I only try to be on Instagram for like an hour a day. You know, that type of thing. And then what else I did on like the explore page, like I don't know how long ago, maybe 6-7 months ago, it used to be just women on my explore page, just like baddie women. And I just went to each one and I would you like click on the post and then you click on like the 3 dots on the top and it's like, do not show me posts like this. And all the women are gone. Because like I would like, you go on like Instagram and it's Barstool Smoke Shows and then you just like it, you know, you just fly by and then all of a sudden you're on the explore page and it's just women everywhere.
Well, I ended up fucking up my whole algorithm and everything because I like everything. So like when I scroll and I go through like my Instagram feed, I just like everything. Like I'm just like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like. But what I didn't realize was like the algorithm goes into that, right? So it's just because I like everything, it's just giving me a bunch of like random shit. So like now I have to be more selective and be like, oh, that's a cool picture, but I'm not going to like it because I want to see more pictures of like pizza and burgers. And like, I don't really care about American Ninja Warrior. You know what I mean? Like if there was a video from American Ninja Warrior, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Like keep scrolling. Oh, wow. Like that's a really cool farmhouse. Like, keep scrolling.
Yeah.
And then it's like the algorithm is just so fucked.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
if
now
you're
I'm
like
a
really
lot
into
more.
that, if you're like really into that kind of stuff, like I tell people to go on like YouTube and just like look it up. Like I remember I used to be wicked into like America's Got Talent. I used to love like the magicians. Like it would just like blow me away. And like I would spend like an hour or two and just watching like America's Got Talent YouTube videos of like magicians, and then all of a sudden I'm on like Britain's Got Talent, just watching like these crazy magicians, and I was like, yeah, this is cool. Like it interests me, but
Yeah.
like not enough to go and be like, all right, I need to like go and follow them on Instagram and make sure that I see this every day. Like, no.
Yeah. That's the one thing I never got into was YouTube.
Really? Okay.
Like I never became like a YouTube guy. Bob, do you watch
I've
YouTube?
made a complete resurgence.
Really?
So YouTube itself, like I never could like watch YouTube videos in succession. What I can do is find the accounts that are making borderline TV shows or borderline TV series, and their platform is YouTube. So like right now I'm watching all of No Laying Up's travel stuff. So No Laying Up's a golf podcast. I don't listen to their podcast. I can't do it. They're a little too geeky. Tron's a fucking loser. So I don't like listening to them. They do some like one-offs that are really cool. Like, and then they do picks, and I'm like, I don't need you to do picks. You guys play golf. Like, that's the thing. Like, the guy Solly who runs their Twitter, like he's the if he's not the main guy, he's the main guy because he's the best player and he's like the face of it. Like, he's good. Like, he's actually good at golf. So I was on YouTube pulling up something, and he played the Gasparilla Invitational, which is a mid-am event. So you got to be 25 or older and an amateur. And he recorded his round. So he shot like 4 under in the first round, and then he, kind of fell apart like the rest of us would. It's super fucking relatable. But it's like with their podcast, I don't care what they have to say. Like, they're interviewing tour players. Like, tour players are not fucking interesting. They're not. Like, For the People interviews interesting tour players, but they're the ones that don't have status and don't have, 3 comma net worths. Like they're not like, though, like that's not fucking interesting. I do not care what Justin Thomas has to say about anything.
Yeah.
But the guy who lived in his van, who decided to go, like, he was going to be a surfer and then moved to Montana so he could teach skiing and snowboarding, and then was watching golf one day because he played until he was like 14, then, just kind of lived a little bit more of like a free spirit, whatever. He's just going
Like
to do whatever the fuck he did. And then he was watching TV, goes, fuck it, I'll pick it back up again. And went pro within like 2 years. It's like, wow, that guy's interesting. These other people are unrelatable weirdos. Anyway, so what No Laying Up does is they do a travel series, and it's usually like 10 episodes. Season 1 was Australia. Don't know why I skipped it. Season 2 was Scotland. And I actually watched that with Michaela because it's a golf media company, but it's a travel show, man. Like they're going to the different towns. They're interviewing locals. They're going to the local establishments. They're talking about the golf course. And yeah, they play golf. So they did Scotland. Season 3 was California. They were living in a Winnebago, going to the different places. Season 4, Ireland. Season 4, the Carolinas. And that's as far as I've gone. So I've also watched the Foreplay guys, which again, same thing. It's golf. Obviously, I'm a fucking psycho about golf. But I don't listen to the Foreplay pod either. I can't do it. They fucking don't know what they're talking about. And it's too much for me. And then they fanboy every single person that they interview. And it's too much. Like, I just can't fucking do it.
That feels like a Barstool thing to me.
Well, it is. So
I never got into any of the Barstool stuff. Well, that's not, I liked old Barstool, the website, but I never got into the podcast.
But it's like they just fanboy everything, and they don't really know what they're talking about with golf. And I don't say, listen, you don't need to be good, But if you're not going to be good, you should at least understand the game if you're going to fucking comment about it. But no, it's not like that. And even then, it's still not like, it's not like what you would think Barstool Golf is like, you know, playing in a bathing suit, getting annihilated. It's like, it's not even that. So it's like, I don't even know what the fuck it is. But last summer, they released 8 episodes, Trent trying to break 100. And it was like, you know, so that's not a travel show, but that's like your like season of something. So I've definitely found myself able to watch YouTube. And frankly, it's better than anything else I can fucking find on TV, like during the week. I won't watch that stuff normally on the weekends, but you know, like when I go up tonight and, you know, it's like 9 o'clock, I got like an hour just to like kind of like unwind. And there's nothing on TV I want to watch at all whatsoever. I don't watch basketball. Hockey's, I'll watch the Bruins, but I don't have Nesson. So it's like, I don't really watch the Bruins. So that stuff has been a little bit of a newfound pleasure that I actually really enjoy watching.
I might have to start checking out YouTube more.
Yeah, dude, honestly, it's like dude, you could have put this show in 2004, you could have put the Scotland season on the Travel Channel and it would have fit right in. I'm fucking not like, I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Like they do a really, really good job with that. And that's what makes it good. Cause even Michaela she watched Ireland and she watched Scotland with me. She was watching a little bit of the Carolinas, but there's nothing there. There's nothing interesting. So we'll probably go back and watch Australia and see what the deal is there. But that's what it takes for me for YouTube. It's like I can't just watch videos. Sure, if I want to watch this, TXG is a channel, and it's they're in Canada. It's some Scottish guy and some Canadian guy, and they test clubs. So if I want to look at what a certain set of clubs is, or what the deal is, or the comparison of this versus that, I'll watch one video, but then I'm moving on. Like I'm not moving into another video. And after that, like I don't fall into that black hole that could be.
Yeah. Yeah. The extent of my YouTube watching is probably like how-to videos, which like sometimes I can go down a rabbit hole with that shit too. Like, I don't know, like a few weeks ago, or actually at this point, it would be a couple months ago. Like when my heating system was fucked up and I was like, why does your heating system make noises? And then I went through that and then I was like, how to fix the noises that your heating system makes. And it's like how to drain the pipes and how to bleed your heating system to get the air out. And it's like, all right, cool. So like, I guess I can see how it happens and where it comes from. Like I said, like the extent of my YouTubing is more like when I need to figure something out, like I just go to YouTube and watch a couple videos. Like when I had, or when I put my snowblower together and it was kind of fucked up, or I didn't actually put it together, but it was fucked up when I bought it. So I like watched a couple of YouTube videos on like how to fix what was fucked up on it. And like that, like that's, like I said, I think that's my use for YouTube. I guess it's a little more practical, but I might have to start checking out some other shit because it sounds like it's got some interesting stuff on there.
When I'm doing like a how-to on like YouTube, like I'm literally looking for the shortest clip I can find. Like I will 100% click on the one that has a 30-second segment versus a 2-minute segment. Like just to see, okay, I only want to know what I have to do and that's it. I swear though, the biggest like YouTube like rabbit hole I ever got into though for some reason was actually in college. And my girlfriend at the time was wicked into, we would stay up all night and watch YouTube videos. She was also wicked into like SoundCloud and shit like that. And we would stay up for hours just listening to new songs and shit. But she had found this guy. He was called like Stoner 420, like something like that. And it would just be him like taking rips of like crazy things. It's the guy that goes, "What's up, YouTube, 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 YouTube?" YouTube. I don't know if you've ever heard of this guy. I don't know what his name was. No, I don't know what his name was, but like he was just some like big, heavier set fella. And he would literally be like, I'm gonna go and take 21 dab rips in a row while all in one breath. Like just like crazy stupid shit like that. That was the worst I ever got into YouTube, but like that's it.
I feel like that's what TikTok has become.
I don't know what TikTok is.
I refuse to use TikTok for a few different reasons, but
I'd love to hear
them. The main one is it's a Chinese company, and the government. I listened to a whole podcast episode on it, and it's like when you use TikTok, you're pretty much handing over all of your information to the Chinese government. And it's like the United States government already has all of my shit. Like I don't need China to have my shit too. There's like really fucked up things it does with like the settings on your phone, like the privacy settings on your phone. Really? Like it's allowed to like access all different sort of things on like the back end. I don't know. It's really sketchy. But also like, I don't know, I can get the same shit on Instagram. Like I don't need more apps. Like me as a person, like I need less apps.
I do too.
I don't like jumping around to like a bunch of different apps. So like I need less of them. So like if I got TikTok, that would be another app that I don't need. Where like I can get the same shit on Instagram. Like almost everyone that's famous on TikTok has an Instagram and they post the exact same shit.
Like the thing is, it's just so like easy. I'll say, like, I'm not like TikTok famous or some shit, but it's way easier to get views on things because I don't go and scroll like TikTok like I do Instagram, but like with TikTok, I'll post the same video with like 3 hashtags and it'll have like 1,000 views versus like a video on Instagram that'll have like a couple hundred.
Yeah.
You know, and it'll just happen so quickly. Because I'm a big like.
Yeah, you go.
What? I'm a big like Gary V guy, and so I listen to everything that Gary puts out, and like he says, post 3 TikToks a day.
I have seen him say that, yeah.
Because it's the easiest platform right now to overnight like 5 million views for no reason.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not putting out 3 TikToks a day. I don't even know what I would like put for 3 TikToks a day.
Yeah, at that point, it's like, what is the content that you're putting out?
Yeah, I have no idea. But like, if I post something to Instagram, I post it to TikTok if it's a video, and like the views are tripled. The
one thing I have noticed though is with Instagram Reels, it's essentially just TikTok. Like I posted a reel over the summer of me like with my dog, because we did renovations on the house over the summer and we had no stairs at one point. So I posted an Instagram reel with the dog literally swaddled. I have a 50-pound golden doodle. So with no stairs, getting her up and down, I had to climb a ladder with her literally like swaddled and tied to my chest. So like, it was a funny video. So it was my first time ever using Instagram Reels, and I posted it on there, and within 10 minutes, it had like 3,000 views. Yeah. And then within a week, it had like 50,000 views. And I was like, what the fuck? Like my phone was blowing up. Like random people were liking my video. And I was like, what the fuck is Instagram Reels? Like, why? Like, how is 50,000 people watch this stupid video of me carrying my dog down a ladder? You know what I mean? With like the clown car theme in the background. Yeah. Like what? I just like don't
if I have a video that's under like a minute, because I'm at the point where I just try to put out informational stuff, but at the same time put out a little bit of stuff about me too, just like random shit. But like if I'm going to try to put out something informational, and if it's under 60 seconds, I'm putting it in a reel, because that versus like putting it in a regular video, the views are 3x at least. Yeah. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's the Instagram algorithm. I don't look into it. I'm just like, whatever. I'll just do the reel. I don't care.
Yeah. 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 I think it's definitely more successful than just a straight up Instagram video. It's got to be with the algorithm. Like it's got to have like a separate algorithm or like whatever it's doing. But yeah.
So let me ask you guys, do you guys think that Instagram specifically will be here in, let's say, 5 years?
Yeah, I do. Because
Okay.
I don't see anything that would replace it yet.
Okay.
The only thing I would say would be whatever is going to replace it doesn't exist yet. And
Okay.
if it did, it would be something that's related to the blockchain. Like if they came out with an open sourced blockchain social media app where
Mhm.
there was no censorship, there was no anything, like you could see everything was wide open. I
Mhm.
think that could potentially overtake Instagram, but even still, like
Okay.
maybe not. You know, like think about
Okay.
all the things that have come out in the last 5 years that were
Yep.
supposedly like the new Instagram, right? Like you remember that Vero, whatever it was? It was Vero. Like that was this big thing. Everyone was like, "Oh, this is Instagram with no censorship. This is the new thing." Joe Rogan got
Yeah.
one, and then it fucking blew up. And then
Hmm.
the next one was fuck, what was the other one? I know Getter is another one, but that was supposed to replace Twitter. It's like
Mhm.
there's been a bunch of different apps that have come out, like Trump's one, Truth Social. Like who the fuck uses Truth
Oh,
Social?
right. Yeah.
Nobody.
I have no idea.
Damn it. What was the other one? There was one other app that was just like Instagram. Um, but even like just look at Twitter as an example too. So you've had Twitter forever, right?
Yeah.
And you can think of I can think of Getter, I can think of Gab, I can think
Okay.
of Truth Social. That's three off the top of my head in the last 5 to 10 years that have come out, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's gonna take down Twitter," and it never does. It never
Yeah.
does. Like all of these ones that come on, like, "Oh, this is the new Instagram. It's gonna take it down." It's like, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it,
Yeah.
because most people don't like change, right? Like I
No,
said,
they don't.
I want less apps.
Yep.
So now you're gonna make me, because the other thing too is Instagram's been around for so long, people have years of history on their page.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going to migrate to a new Instagram style app, like I'm probably going to have to delete Instagram or just stop
Yeah.
using it, which means I'm going to lose that cool post that I have on my page from 2015 or
Yeah.
2012. So I think that's a little bit of it too.
Yeah. Because I think about, like, okay, in 15 years, when I probably have like a kid or something, I'm gonna be like, yeah, you need to look at my fucking Instagram, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's what I think about.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to, like, I'm documenting a bunch of just random shit, you know?
Right.
So what do you think about like the metaverse and things like that? Do you think that that's gonna be like the new like thing in the next like 5 years?
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
I think oh, Visco. That was the other one.
I almost said that, but I didn't know if that was big. People still
Yeah.
use that. That's
Yeah.
why.
Visco
People
was
still
supposed
use
to be
that.
one that like overtook Instagram, but then what did Instagram do? They started allowing you to link to your Visco page.
Yeah.
So now it's no longer like Instagram or Facebook technically cut the legs out from underneath Visco. They were like, no, you're not going to replace us because we'll allow people to link directly to their page over there. So now they can just use both. Like
Yeah.
it's a very smart thing that they did.
I feel like only like women use Visco. Is that a thing? Because I don't really know men that use Visco, but like my sisters use Visco. I know a couple of women. I don't know if it, I mean, a very small percentage, but I don't know any. I never had a Visco. I don't know any men that had a Visco.
Yeah. I mean, it's very
I'm well versed
misogynistic
in
of you, but I think you're right.
It is, but I mean, I'm just talking about my small circle that I have, you know?
I bet you like
I
Joe
mean,
Rogan too.
yeah, you know I do, you know? You know.
As do I love Rogan. But yeah, no, I think the metaverse is probably, unfortunately to me, because I hate it. I think it's dumb.
Okay.
But I think it is the future, right? You're already seeing it with NFTs. Like NFTs have become fucking massive. I
Those
think,
fuck me up.
yeah. So I finally understand them now. But at
Okay.
first I was like, I don't know. Like I did the whole NBA Top Shot thing, and I got those things, and I bought a bunch
Okay.
of them, and
Yep.
now I'm trying to sell them all. And I've made a decent amount of money off of them, but like it's like I just I don't know, because for the longest time I was like, I don't understand it. I think it's dumb, but if there's a way to make money off of it, I'm in. You know, like that's kind of how I looked at it.
Have you guys done
Um,
like a podcast on it or anything yet? Or have you guys talked about it?
I mean, we've talked about it here and there.
Yeah.
We've never like dedicated a whole thing to it,
I'm just
but
curious.
because I also don't know enough about it to like preach to people either. Like I know enough to understand it, but I'm
Yep.
not going to be like, oh, this is what you need to do. You need to use MetaMask or like
Like
Coinbase, or, you know, like I
yeah.
don't know enough, or like you have to use the Polygon network. Like
Yeah.
even just the fact that I'm saying those words is literally all I know. Like
Yes,
I don't know what the Polygon network is or
I
what
am.
exactly it does, but I know it exists and I know it
Yeah.
has to do with NFTs. You know what I mean? Like that's my
Yeah.
level of
Yeah.
understanding.
I I was trying to get Jake Ballerino on my podcast to talk about NFTs because he understands them, but he understands them more than you do, and he understands them more than I do. I still have done no research. I'm not interested. Like but Jake buys NFTs, sells NFTs. He can explain NFTs to me, not in like the simplest terms, but in at least terms that like I can understand for the most part. It still just doesn't interest me. So like I've been really trying to get him on the podcast, but he's like, no, I don't know enough about them yet. You
Yeah.
know, and that's where I feel most people are with NFTs.
Yeah.
So
There's a lot of bullshit out there too. Bob, were you gonna say something? You look like
I
you're
was gonna say like the whole like metaverse thing. The part that I don't get is why you would buy a virtual plot of land, and then why you would want a virtual house on your virtual plot of land, and then like why you would go to the virtual Gucci store to buy virtual Gucci products to put in your virtual house on your virtual plot of land. I don't fucking get that. Not one bit.
I 1000% agree with you. But I heard a podcast very recently where a guy was explaining, this is the part of the reason why I feel like more comfortable understanding stuff now, is this is our old man yells at a cloud moment. This for us, like our generation of people that are like, I don't know, call it 20, let's go 25 to 35 or plus, like 25 plus. We still really don't understand NFTs so much. Like we don't really get it, right? We're like, I don't like, I am 1000% on board with you. Why would I spend real money for a virtual fake thing to then put a fake house on it, which also costs real money? Like, you know, like we're taking money from the physical real world and putting it into this world that doesn't actually exist. I'm totally on board. But the kids today, so like people under 25, are already doing it. And the example I got was look at Fortnite and look at Call of Duty. What do they do in Fortnite? They pay money to buy skins, right? Which is just a different costume essentially for anyone. And if anyone's out there like, what the fuck is Fortnite? Like, it's just some stupid video game that looks like it came out of like 1997. It's got terrible graphics. I've never played it. I've only ever watched people play it. Like the kids I used to work with at my old job, like they would play it and be like, do you want to play? I'm like, no, I want nothing to do with this stupid fucking game. I literally looked at them and was like, this looks like something I used to play on Sega Genesis. But this is what they do already. Like their world is already about virtual things, right? So like Call of Duty, like I said, like they spend real actual money on skins and different guns and different maps. Like they're being groomed in a way to normalize the virtual world. and look at it like, it's just going to be another thing, right? Like how we used to sit down and play video games. Like the big thing for us when we were kids was Xbox Live and PlayStation Network, right?
Yep.
Because it meant that you no longer had to get together as a group. So if you say that came out when we were like, what? Let's, for argument's sake, let's say we were 15 years old when Xbox Live and PlayStation Network came out. We would have sat there and been like, sick, dude. Like I can sit at my house, put a headset on and play this video game with 7 of my other friends. Well, someone that was 27 years old at that time would say, that's stupid. Why wouldn't you want to get together with your friends and play the video game all together? Like, why wouldn't all 7 of you meet up at someone's house and move controllers around and all that stuff, right? And you could say like, yeah, it was dumb because we only had 4 controllers for 7 people, but you rotate, right? That's what you did. Well, Xbox Live and PlayStation Network changed that because no one had to get together anymore. Everyone could stay at their own house and everyone could still play the same games. And this is kind of similar in a way. I look at it at least like, and again, I'm on board. I don't understand it.
That's the thing though, is I'm still missing the point, because if you say skins for a video game, I go dumb, but
right.
At least when you're playing live and you see other people, you can see, oh shit, where'd you get that costume? Or, oh, you got enough money to get that costume, like whatever. Like, again, I think it's stupid, but I get that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't get the purpose of, unless, I'm going to just dump thoughts. I don't understand the purpose of virtual real estate, because I'll tell you right now, if it's the younger generation that fucking is driving this, well, they're the fucking idiots at the gym. And I fucking assure you, they don't even know what the word appreciate means. Both in terms of financial and in terms of like an appreciation for something. They have no idea.
Right. Right.
So
the verb and the noun.
So then it's like, so is the metaverse, like we all log into whatever the fuck, would you say fucking the Pokemon name, Polygon?
Yeah, I think the Polygon. Yeah, the Polygon network might be like where you actually just create NFTs.
Oh, you create, okay, whatever. But it's like, am I supposed to like go into this metaverse and like go for a virtual walk and look and be like, oh shit, Shawn painted his house red today, and then like walk further virtually and be like, oh, wonder what Mello's doing. Oh, look, I guess the dog's outside. Like, is that what this goes to?
Yeah. Yeah. So another thing is I watched the Lex Friedman podcast with Mark Zuckerberg, who was on it. And I was really surprised at how good it was. I was expecting Zuckerberg to be an absolute fucking putz, but he was actually pretty good. But he was talking about with Meta, the now Meta company, what they're doing is they're incorporating it into the corporate world. So what I was just talking about, what we did with video games, Meta, the company, is doing with corporations and meetings. So what he was saying was, now you're able to have a virtual meeting at a virtual conference table with your avatars. So like we could theoretically,
like Kingsman?
Yes. Yeah. We could be doing this podcast in the metaverse, technically, right? Theoretically. And we could be sitting at a table with it, like next to each other. So instead of people watching this on YouTube where there's 3 boxes, that's just a screen recording of my Zoom screen, it's actually us, our avatars, sitting at a table talking to each other. And what he said, what you're capable of doing with this meta conferencing, I forget what the actual name is, but like you wear the VR headset and you have all the stuff, and it actually allows you to have side conversations. So if we were sitting, if Shawn's giving a presentation at the head of this table and me and you were sitting next to each other, Bob, I could lean over to you and whisper something and Shawn can't hear it because it's like real life. And like this is the future of what's being built to do. And I highly recommend, again, it's the Lex Friedman podcast. I forget what number it is, but it came out within the last 2 weeks, and it's with Mark Zuckerberg. So like, if you go to the Lex Friedman podcast, look at the one with Zuckerberg. The stuff they talk about is really interesting and fascinating. And it really makes me think that is the future. And I'm going to go kicking and screaming into it, because I don't want to do, like, I think it's dumb. I think it's so fucking stupid. But here we are. This is our old man yells at the cloud moment, because I'm going to sit there and be like, why the fuck wouldn't you just want to be in the same room as the people? But 20 years from now, who knows? Like, maybe that's just the normal thing. I think it's like every generation gets normalized to like a newer layer of technology. Right? It's like when we were kids, we had computer class. Granted, computer class was like the quick brown fox runs over the whatever it was. Like, it was typing stuff, and it was Oregon Trail, and it was all that stuff. But like, the people that graduated in 1990, they didn't have computer class. And if they did, it was on fucking typewriter. You know what I mean? Like big, giant fucking things. So like, we were exposed to computers at a young age in elementary school. Granted, they were like the big boxy things with the black and green screen, but still, like, we didn't sit down with a computer, like call it a gateway at the time, and be like, I have no idea how to use this thing. We were 9, 10, 11 years old, and we knew how to type. We knew what a monitor was. Back then we had towers to the computer. We knew what the tower did. But if you took someone who was 50 years old at that time, they'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? Why wouldn't you just use a typewriter? The numbers come out on the page immediately. Like, you have the page, you have the piece of paper tangibly in front of you with the letters on it. You're typing on a screen. What happens if you unplug the screen? The letters go away. You know what I mean? Like, you can poke and prod, and you can yell at as many clouds as you want, looking at any technological advance throughout the last 40, 50 years. But again, like, it doesn't mean that I'm okay with it. Like, I'm still going to bitch about it. Like, I still don't like the whole metaverse thing, but the fact of the matter is, like, I think it is here to stay, and I think it is the future.
See, like, do you think that like I sometimes think of the metaverse, okay, and this virtual reality in like the worst way, I should say, in terms of
like the Matrix.
Like, well, like in terms of like, we're socially conditioning people to not want to leave their house, and make it into a world where no one ever leaves, and like everything is automatic and at the touch of your fingertips, but you never actually face to face see someone.
Yes. So I remember for a fact that I said this at one point on this podcast. This was pre-pandemic. So this is going way back to early days of podcasts. But I remember we were probably in Jamie's room at the time, but I remember sitting there and turning to Bob and being like, how long is it before we don't need to leave our houses anymore? Because I think right around that time.
Was it the Amazon drone service?
Yeah, it was the drone service when they first announced it. And then shortly after that, the mirror, right? Like, that shit was being created. Like, or it wasn't
to work out with
a mirror in your house. Like, it all happened kind of right around the same time, like maybe sometime in 2019 ish. And I remember sitting there, and like I said, I remember for a fact saying those words. I wish there was a way to like search audio words in a history, because you can find it. You can go back. I don't know when and where, but I know I said it. And here we are, like almost 3 years later, being
gotta make that into an NFT.
Yeah. I'll mint it on the Polygon network and sell it. But like, we're getting there, right? Because they're making the drones. They have the mirror now. You don't have to leave your house. Then what happened during the pandemic? People didn't want to leave their houses for anything. So what happened? DoorDash blew up, Grubhub, Instacart, like all of those things. And now people continue to do that. And now, like, again, here we are. How long is it before people don't want to leave their houses? And you're already seeing, I think, a little bit of the, you're seeing traces, right? So like right now, I think in like 15 years, you'll be able to look back and be like, all the pieces were there, but like they haven't lined up yet, right? Because look at Instagram that we already talked about. What's the whole point of Instagram? Like to show people like your life, essentially. Like how many people post fake lives on Instagram? Like we all know multiple people that are in relationships that are unhappy.
Yeah.
But what they post on Instagram is like, oh my God, look at us. We're here. We love each other. Or, hey, look at us. We're at dinner on a Tuesday night. Like, here's a selfie of us. But meanwhile, like anyone that knows them knows that they fucking can't stand each other. Yeah. So you're already seeing that like escapism in a way. So like, why the fuck wouldn't someone like that want to go live in a fake world? Yeah. Like they're already trying to portray themselves in a fake way. Like just completely immerse yourself.
Yeah.
And like, they might not do it right away. Like it might not be like a head first dive into it, but like those type of people already exist. Like they already try and put a facade on social media. So like the metaverse is going to allow them to have this totally fake life and like get this external validation of like, I'm kind of a fucking loser in the real world, but in the metaverse, I got a giant fucking mansion. I have meta parties every Friday night and famous people come, but then like you unplug from the metaverse and you're like fucking 270 pounds and like can't get out of bed.
Yeah.
Well, the terrifying thing is so when we were selling the house almost a year ago now, our realtor told us she would go to her kids and say, hey, do you want to see if whoever's around? And this is a year post like pandemic onset, we'll call it. And they're like, and do what? And she's like, what do you mean and do what? Like hang out, like do whatever, like anything.
Do whatever it is you crazy kids do
like,
today.
And then the kid's like, but what would we do? And she's like, oh my God. They don't know how to play, I guess. I guess like they don't even get that. Like, so that's where I could see. So again, if the Gucci thing's true, because my source is a little questionable on that one, like why the fuck you would need to buy virtual Gucci stuff? I cannot fucking figure that out. You cannot, there's no one, I don't know who the fuck would be able to convince me of that. But if we're going to move like towards a virtual, almost everything, like dude, the wheels are in motion, like you said. Yeah. And the attitude is there a little bit too now with the younger kids.
Yeah.
I feel like the virtual Gucci is just like the, like people that are looking for almost like the fake clout in a sense.
Yeah, it's clout chasing.
Like, yeah. It's like, okay, I have this virtual Gucci, right? And I have this huge mansion. So come and buy my business program that shows you how I made this virtual world real. You know,
that makes sense to me though. That I get.
Sense. That is what I think that it is really about. But
when
there's people,
when the end user takes it and like that's the part I'm missing out. Yeah, like the business stuff I get. Like when Mello was talking about like how you can have like a virtual conference call and now everyone's kind of in the room, like virtually, not really. Listen, again, it's dumb, but businesses spend a lot of money on a lot of dumb shit just to have like, they hired director of first impressions, even though it's called a fucking receptionist. Like, like, so the conference call thing, I get that. Again, I think it's stupid and I'll still be using, you know, my fucking archaic ways of doing my shit. But yeah, there's just some aspects of it I just don't get. Like, do you get like a virtual dog instead of a real dog because there's no real responsibility? Do you have to virtually go pick up their shit?
Think about that.
I had never thought about that.
So look at the benefit. I didn't think about that either, but I'll sell you on it right now. Like you don't have to pick up dog shit, right? What's the worst thing? What does every single person that owns a dog dread? Every single, or any pet really. What is the one thing? House. No, what is the one thing that no one with a pet wants to ever deal with?
It's death.
The death.
Oh,
okay. Guess what you don't have to deal with when you get a virtual pet? The death.
I don't know, dude. The fucking the cows would die in Oregon Trail, and the Tamagotchi pets, they would die too if you didn't attend to them fast enough.
Yeah, but if you pay a subscription fee for this dog, right? So every month with this NFT dog company sells these or rents or whatever it does these dogs, that you get to have this dog. So in perpetuity, as long as you pay them $3 a month, the dog never dies. The dog never goes away. You know what I mean? Like, this
you bounce
is some
one
shit.
payment.
It makes sense though. It does.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And like, you can, again, this isn't like, we are not the three of us are not the target audience for the metaverse, but I can sit here and see how people would be attracted to that, right? Like, it's very easy to see how people would be like, oh, you mean in the virtual world? Like, I have my dog that never dies. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't want to deal with that. Like, I never want my pet to die. You know what I mean? Like, it's right there in front of you. Like, it's very obvious to see how it would catch on and how people would do this. And also, people are fucking stupid. Like, one of the metaverses, which, the side tangent real quick, the problem here is we're at the very beginning of this, and we don't know which metaverse is going to be the premier one, because as of right now, there's multiple, right? I don't know the names of any of them, but I do know that one of them is partially owned by Snoop Dogg, and Snoop Dogg has a massive mansion in like this fake meta town.
I have
and
this, yes.
The plots of land that are selling that border Snoop Dogg's mansion are astrofucking-nomical. They're like $500,000. You can buy a fake plot of land that butts up against Snoop Dogg's plot of land for $500,000, or you can get one down the meta street for like $5,000. You know what I mean? Like, it's fucking wild. But
where do they need a sports performance facility? I'll build one.
Yeah. So like as far as like the metaverses go, we're in like the Friendster, MySpace stage, where like Friendster and MySpace are going at it to try and see who's going to be the more popular, but like Facebook hasn't even been created yet. So like the metaverse that might end up being like the Facebook of the metaverses hasn't even been created yet. So it's like, we don't know which one. And that's, a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money, because imagine you spend $500,000 in real world money to buy a plot of land just to say that you live next to Snoop Dogg in, you know, the Snoop metaverse, and then the Snoop metaverse goes bankrupt.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money that you just, you know what I mean? Like, that there's going to be a lot of fucked up shit that happens too. It's like we're not there yet. But I forget what I was saying before. It was something about dogs. My tangent knocked me off my train of thought.
No, it's like having it's just this false sense of reality of, and it's tough because I'm not firsthand with like this generation right now. Like, I kind of like do my own thing, you know? So it's like, you were telling me even before we started recording about how you're subbing for like 6th grade math, things like this. So you get at least a taste of that like firsthand like experience of this new generation. I don't. And that's why it's a little, I don't want to say it's more difficult for me to understand it, or I'm not sure what I'm really trying to go with here with this, but like it's tough to see. Like, I don't see how a kid is growing up right now. I don't have any young children that are like close to me that are like in the metaverse and they have NFTs, and they like don't have any friends at school, but they have this like big huge plot of land that they've somehow bought or created, you know, in the metaverse, and they're like, you know, oh, this is my false sense of reality that I have.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. That's real. Like,
yeah.
You see it now too with kids there. So before I was teaching, I was working for a company that did some like in-home therapy type of stuff. And I would have my clients, the kids that I would work with were kids, right? And like some of the kids that would, be on my caseload, you sit there, you talk to them, they talk about their friends, right? And I'd be like, oh yeah, so like, what do you do with this friend? And they're like, oh, we play Fortnite. And I'm like, oh, like, what else do you do? And they're like, we only play Fortnite. And I was like, really? You only play Fortnite with this friend? Like, do you guys talk in school? And they were like, no, of course not. And I was like, who the fuck is this friend? Come to find out, it's like some kid that lives in Kansas. So it's like these kids are like, oh yeah, like this is my friend, but like you've never met them. You don't even know what they look like, really. Like to be truthful, like you don't know what they look like. Anyone could send a fake picture or like a fake anything. And it's like, it's sad that there's kids out there that think that they're and I don't want to discount it. Like I'm sure they're friends, right? Like I'm sure they are friends on some level, but like for kids to not know what it's like to have like a real in-person friend, like your only friends, your friends only exist online. That's the truth for a lot of kids today. So like, that's what I mean. Like, it's not that far of a leap to just move your entire life online or in the metaverse, because you might look at it, be like, I go to school every day and kids make fun of me. I have no friends, but I'm really fucking good at Fortnite and I have a lot of friends on the network. So like, all I want to do is spend my time there. Like, it's very easy to see that logical progression to how someone would be like, yeah, why the fuck wouldn't I want to live in the virtual world? I'm way fucking cooler in the
I mean, if it was me, I would do the same thing,
Yeah.
But I think it's just if we even had some type of, and I don't think this is going to happen, but some type of, okay, we're going to have a social skills class, like an in-person, real human to human interaction. There are so many people I have met, like throughout my entire life, there's people that they don't know how to look you in your eyes.
No.
I was in Market Basket today and I asked an employee, I was like, excuse me, do you know if you have any more of this turkey? Okay. I was looking for 99% turkey. And he mumbles under his breath, no. And like never looked at me at all.
Yeah.
This man has no idea what I look like. Like, it's just like, it's just small things like that to me, from like my perspective in that moment, it might be like, oh, this guy's a dickhead. But at the same time, this could have been in in 20 years, this could have been a kid that never figured out how to have any type of social life in the real world, ever like really realized like, hey, this is who I am and I'm okay with who I am. But you know what, in this reality, in this new reality that I have, I'm cool with it. So it doesn't matter what I do in the real world. It only matters what I do in the metaverse. It only matters what I do in the virtual reality, which is a scary thought.
Yeah.
I don't know how to fix it. I don't know if I'm the person. I don't think I'm the person to fix it. Maybe I impact one or two people, but like, I don't know what we do, to be honest.
Yeah, I like your idea of the social skills class. I think that needs to happen in schools everywhere. And I think it needs to happen because of COVID. The kids are so fucked up because of COVID. And I'll get into this is actually part of my final thought, so I don't want to blow too much of it. But the kids right now are so fucked up because of the whole COVID thing.
Yeah, but A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
Yeah. No, I don't teach that.
And mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah, but we don't, none of us even knew how to write a check.
Yeah.
Like, I remember being in college when I moved off campus my sophomore year. I got an apartment and I had to write a check to my landlord for my rent every month. We had to put them all in an envelope and throw it on a magnet on the fridge, and the landlord would come pick them up. I had to call my mother and ask her how to fill out a check at 19 years old, because I was like, I don't know how to write a check. Where do I put the words? What do these lines mean? Like, I didn't, like, no one ever taught us how to do that. And it was like one of those moments where I was like, this is fucking weird. Because you feel like you feel useless, right? Like, and I know it's just a fucking check. Like, it's not like I cried myself to sleep. Like, oh, I'm a loser. I don't know how to write a check.
But
it's like,
a basic
obviously,
skill.
11 years later, I still remember that. You know, like it's stuck in my memory for 11 years. That when I first got an apartment, I had no idea how to write a check, and I had to call my mom and ask how to do it. You know,
I probably had some type of similar experience where, you know, I probably had my first checking account at like 16, 17, where I got my first job, but I immediately had debit cards were already a thing. I never had to write a check. I have the same checking account that I've had since I was like 16 or 17. And I have a checkbook that has maybe 3 checks that have been used. You know, I don't actually have to write checks for things.
Yeah.
You know, like right now, you know, like even like my rent for things. I've had an online checking account with Ally where they'll just send a check right to they'll send a check right to the landlord. You know, it doesn't even matter. I don't even have to see it. I don't have to write it, nothing.
Yeah.
So it's a weird concept. That just in terms of like a basic skill that we never learned.
Yeah, or even like how to open a bank account. Like no one in school teaches you how to open a bank account. Like they don't tell you when you show up, you need like certain forms of ID. Like that would be a fun study, is if I could ever like meet some bankers and like ask them, like, what is the percentage of people that show up to open a bank account for the first time and don't have all the required documents? Because I would bet it's probably like 70% of people that try to open a bank account and they don't realize that like you need a photo ID, whether it's a license or a passport. You need your social security number, like the card. You need your birth certificate, or like whatever the documentation is that you need. I guarantee you, 7 out of 10 people have no idea what you actually need. I don't know what you need.
I have no idea.
I have no idea what are the specific documents that you need to open a bank account. Like I said, I'm assuming just from life and experiencing things that, like I said, it's some form of photo ID, maybe a birth certificate, maybe your social security card, probably your social security card. But like, I can't say for certain. Like, I'm not 100% certain.
Yeah, no.
I know what documents you need if you already have an account with that bank, because you still need your ID and you still need to know your social security number.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you were just going to walk into somewhere randomly and, you know, walk up and be like, one bank account, please. Yeah, I don't know what you would need from them.
Yeah. It's like random little shit that like you just, no one teaches you. Like,
how about dividing 5 by 2?
Doesn't teach you.
How about dividing 5 by 2?
Yeah.
I got kids that are learning fucking Latin and can't fucking divide 5 by 2.
Yeah. That's awesome. Latin's a great language to learn. Very useful.
Yeah, it's wicked useful.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think personally, I'd rather know Latin than be able to divide 5 by 2. Personally. It might be like, I don't know, it might not be what you guys agree with, but at the same time, I feel like it's easier for me to go and type into Google 5 divided by 2 versus have a like type in English to Latin. You know, that's how I sometimes think about things. What would be easier if I could know this and understand it and be able to say it to someone else, or be able to type it into Google? Sometimes when I'm trying to learn something, I'm like, okay, what do I actually need? You know, that's kind of how I think about concepts and learning something new sometimes.
Yeah.
It might not be the best way, but you know what? It's not like I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put this book down because I could probably just Google it. Like, no, I mean, if it's a good book that I think I'm going to learn something from, I'm going to do it and I'm going to like read it. But there's a lot of concepts where I'm like, hey, like just how we drove cross country, right? I don't know shit about where states are. I really don't. I really don't. You know what?
Well,
And
most of them
I'm
are
not
west.
And like I'm not super ashamed about it. I understand that like it's like common knowledge for the most part to kind of know like, hey, this is where the 50 state, like this is where each state is. But like for me, I'm like, I really don't care. I really don't. It might be ignorant, but at the same time, I'm like, I can look up a map of the United States whenever I want to.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how I think of it. There's no reason for me to go and study the 50 states and know exactly where they are or know every single state when I can figure out that information in less than 10 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a big problem with the education system. There's a lot of problems, but like that's one
clearly.
of them is that it hasn't caught up to the real world yet. And like, so I always go back. One of my favorite things, God love Haslam. I know we all three of us went to Bridgewater. Shout out to Haslam. But I remember
he's listening to this right now.
Yeah. What's up, Bob? So
hey Bob, can you send me a fucking intern before March 2nd next time?
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna fucking take that person on. Thanks.
I probably still have tests from him.
Oh yeah.
That I've used to cheat.
So I remember talking to him about wanting to start a new class at Bridgewater when I was teaching there. I wanted to create a class that was based around what was then the iron spine, which is now similar today, would be like the total posture performance thing. Like I wanted to teach that as a class at Bridgewater. And I had this conversation with Haslam and he goes, well, where are the textbooks on it? And I was like, well, I would use this, and this textbook. This has this piece, that has that, whatever. And he goes, that wouldn't work. And I go, well, why not? And he goes, well, they're too new. I was like, what do you mean they're too new?
What?
And he goes, this is how it works. All the information in the textbook is outdated. He goes, what we have in the textbook, a brand new textbook that we get printed, delivered, has information from 10 years ago. He goes, this book hasn't been around long enough because it got printed in fucking whatever, 2015. He was like, this book hasn't been around long enough to have everything refuted and rewritten in other books and have all this shit happen and go on. He goes, you can't teach a class without a textbook, and this textbook's no good. And I was like, Bob, are you shitting me right now? And he goes, yeah, this is how it works. And I was like, wow. And he goes, welcome to academia. And I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous. So that's like the shit, right? That like the education system can't catch up to the real world because like you just said, like all things aside, what is the benefit of knowing all 50 states in this country? Truthfully,
there isn't one.
I can't tell you because like you said, you can
even
just
more useless state capitals.
You can just Google it. You can just look it up, right? Like you said, at any moment and any time, you can take this little stupid thing right here and you can get a map of the United States and you know exactly where Nebraska is. So you don't need to know and sit here and remember that like, oh, well, Nebraska is right above Oklahoma, which is right next to Kansas and it borders Missouri. Like you don't need to know that shit. Like there's no reason to know that. Where the sufficient answer is what I said, luckily being in Massachusetts, I don't know, it's west. Like most states are west, right? Like you don't need to know that shit. And it's like when I'm teaching some of these sixth graders, like, do they need to know cross multiplication of fractions? No, like realistically, like since I was in the sixth grade and I learned cross multiplication with fractions, when have I ever used that since then? The answer is also in school. Whenever I reviewed it in whatever it would be, 8th grade or 9th grade, whenever it pops up again. And outside of that, I've never used cross multiplication of fractions. So like when a kid sits there and goes, what's the point of learning this? I'm just like, I don't know. I just ignore it.
Yeah.
I just ignore it and keep going. Like,
yeah.
Well, and even to add to that point, so I was trying to do physics at the gym one day. Now, I took physics, 2007. I took physics, something like that.
Yeah.
So obviously, I don't fucking remember all the equations. So I Google the equations, but then it's like, well, to Google one, I need another, and I'm like writing all these equations on the board, but I'm Googling the whole thing. And then like I'm trying to plug into the equations and I'm trying to figure this out, that out, whatever. And it's like I could have done it. I was just out of variables, but like that's a very specific thing. But I looked it all up to find it. So then it's like, yeah, okay. So if you need to do physics equations one day, then yeah, unfortunately you need algebra and you need fucking to know what the like you need to know what to find.
Right. Right.
And then you need to know algebra because you got to be able to figure out, you know, how to move the shit around, which I completely forgot. I like literally, like, luckily there were high school kids there because I genuinely forgot how to do algebra. Like the simplest one too. Like the simplest one.
Yeah.
Just like I had two variables and solving for the one letter. I'm like, oh shit, how do I get this from there? Now be it, I took algebra probably in 2003, 2004. It's been fucking 18 years and I haven't used it.
Yeah. Yeah. And most of those things, I'm saying most of them, I don't know what equation you were using, but most of those equations with algebra and physics, you can Google, like, if it's like Newton's second law, right? Like F net equals MA, like there's calculators on the internet that you can plug numbers in and it will give you the answer. So you're trying to find the force, but you have mass and acceleration. There's a calculator where you can put in the mass, the acceleration, it'll give you the force, and vice versa. If you have the force and the acceleration, it'll give you the mass. Like, it's even that, like, there's some things that are more common that have calculators that you can just plug them in on a website.
The only thing that I will say is you need to know what you were looking for. So for example, I started because I was trying to solve for power. Or no, I'm sorry, I had power and I was trying to figure out why when one kid threw the ball one way and threw the ball the other way with a similar velocity, he was getting very, very different power outputs. So I'm like, okay, well, I've got the velocity, I've got the power. Let me try to put this in the equation. Turns out I was putting velocity in time, which is wrong. And
power is work over time.
Right. So I was trying to solve for work, and then so I'm like, then I got the work equation up there, and I'm like, well, work is force times distance, or force over distance.
Force times distance.
Force times distance. I'm like, well, the distance is constant because they're throwing from the same spot, or it should be within close contacts. So I'm like, all right, so then the force has to be different. But why is the force different? All right, what's the force equation? The force is velocity over time, I think. No, I forget what. Oh, force is ma. Yeah, so I'm like, okay, so
acceleration.
So then I'm like, well, the mass is the same because the ball is the same. So that means you are accelerating one side quicker than the other. But I'm like, oh shit, what's acceleration though? Because I don't know if that's right. So I write the acceleration question.
It's a change in velocity.
It's velocity over time.
Yes.
I'm like, well, if the time is similar and the velocities were similar, I'm like, wait, fuck. Because that's when I found out I had to go back up to the top and be like, wait, shit, I don't have the time. I have velocity. And I'm like, God damn it. This is fucking dumb. Yeah. I was writing shit all over the board. It was fucking Pepe Sylvian.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. Like,
so 15 years later, I used physics.
Yeah, once in 15 years.
And then in order for me to actually find out the answer to all of that, I'm asking the kid, I'm like, oh, just throw the velocity thing on your arm. He goes, oh, dude, sorry, I got to go. I'm like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
So if I was to backtrack for a second, though, back to your Haslam point, okay?
Yeah.
So I want to preface that I do agree with you. I'm on your side, Jared. But if I was to kind of play like a devil's advocate in a way of, okay, we can't use these new books versus the old textbooks, right? Do you think that that could be something in terms of these textbooks have 1,000 different, and I'm making up numbers here, but these textbooks have 1,000 different case studies versus this textbook only has 500 different case studies. Do you think that could be like a
I mean,
like
to
a
be
reason
to be
as
even
to what,
more fair, like if you're saying the you know, the Phys of X textbook has 1,000, the posture and performance textbook might have 25.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
the disparity might actually be that big, like 1,000 to 25, like 500, like half is being extremely generous. And this was also back then in, you know, 2017, 2018. That was before the whole posture thing became popular. Now, even now, years later, there might be 300 studies. Like it's significantly more popular, but it's still not to the 1,000 level.
Yeah,
you
I was
know?
gonna say, like, to defend like what Haslam was saying. Now, obviously, he says it like he says it, and
right,
you know,
we know Haslam, and
we all know what that means.
Yeah,
he's like, oh, it's no good. Like, well, so I'm doing this right now. I was listening to someone talk about tendon rehab, and it was really interesting because the guy, he is a professor, or he's a PhD professor. He does tendons. That's what he does. So he knows how tendons work, how tendons adapt, how tendons tear, how tendons, like, their makeup. Like, he knows all of it. And it flies completely in the face of all the rice stuff, like rest, ice, compression, elevation. But you know that in a medical community, they're still going to be very, very hesitant to take on what he says because it's new information. It's like, oh, well, we've been doing rice since the 70s. And it's like, yeah, but it's been disputed and proven wrong in terms of recovery time. Oh, well, you know, we got to give him more time. And it's like, well, when's enough time? Oh, we'll let you know. And it's like, well, this guy literally in the lab is showing how tendons work, and he's showing you how he rehabs them, like, not like almost live. Like, hey, I have MRI and ultrasound of the tendon. This was the protocol, and then this is what happened. And it's like, oh, well, you know, it's kind of new, isn't it? Going to have to, because, you know, scientific method, someone's going to have to, you know, go in and test your test. And it's like, who the fuck does that? No one does that.
Yeah.
Like, no one sits there and tries to prove themselves wrong. Like that was supposed to, if that was like the old spirit of it, like, oh, you just keep testing and keep testing and keep testing and whatever. And it's like, bro, no one's doing that.
Yeah.
Like, no one's getting an IRB for this every single time.
Yeah, that was the old fucking stupid thing people used to say about science, right? It was math has it's not equations, it's not the word I'm looking for, but it's like math has like something that's like finite, and science has theories, because nothing can ever be proven, or proofs. That's what it was. Math has proofs, science has theories. Like, that's what people used to say, because they're just fucking assholes. And it's like, all right, well, you know, if you do the same thing over and over again, like, and you get the same result, like, can we fucking just move on and not be like, wow, well, we don't know for sure. You're right, we don't know for sure, but we know, like, pretty fucking certain. This is what's going to happen.
But just because someone chose to take that one back in the day, we're not going to, like, we can't question that. We can only question the new stuff.
Right.
Like, oh, sick, dude.
Yeah, well, we just went through 2 years of that.
But like, so to not give anyone any undue credit, at least that didn't happen in a scientific community. Mostly that happened in a political community. So it didn't need to follow any scientific rules.
Yeah. They just claim they did.
Yeah, people can claim whatever they want, doctor.
I am your honor. I am the honorable.
Yeah, whatever you want.
Yeah, it's fine.
Chancellor.
You guys can just address me Majesty from now on.
Yeah, His Majesty. That's actually Bob's pronouns.
Yeah, those are my pronouns.
it really?
No one
Wow.
will call me by them though. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Because
it's
they're
His
all
Majesty,
bigots.
His Majesties, and they keep saying he, his, him, how.
Oh God.
It's
Yeah.
awful. I'm being fucking not quite persecuted, but you know, not being treated the way I should be.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh man. That's a whole nother discussion right there.
Yeah, I know.
I don't have the energy for that.
Yeah. All right. So I think we're right about that time when we can start wrapping this up here. So Shawn, you've listened to the show before, right? I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we usually end the show with some final thoughts. Could be anything. Could be something that popped up during the show.
Yeah.
That you want to say. Could be something that you had that's totally different. Could be fucking out of left field. Whatever you want.
Okay.
We'll start off with you because you're the guest.
Okay. This will probably just be out of left field. Just because I'm a big NFL guy. I do not see Russell Wilson supporting 3 fantasy wide receivers this coming year. Okay. I don't see Judy, Sutton, and Tim Patrick all being able to. This is just on my mind today. So I was just thinking about it.
There's a lot of shit that went down today.
There's so much shit. Me and my buddies were actually, I was like, you know what? I love to gamble and shit like that. So I texted 2 of my buddies and I was like, hey, here's 30 free agents. Let's predict every single landing spot for these free agents, and whoever gets the most amount right wins $20. You know, just something just stupid. But I'm definitely thinking that Russell Wilson is a good QB. I think the Broncos easily get better. There's no denying that. But I can't imagine that he supports all 3 wide receivers. Like, I'm thinking it's going to be a very Tampa Bay-esque like season for them next year, where this is Mike Evans game, this is Chris Godwin game, this is Gronk game, and it's going to be the same. This is Judy game, this is Sutton game, this is Tim Patrick game.
Yeah, no, I think
I know
that's
that
fair.
had nothing to do with
no, that's fine.
We talked about today.
Doesn't have to. You're good. I think you're probably right.
I think so. I think so too.
Yeah, because I mean, the only evidence you have really is him more recently with Metcalf and Lockett. And I think people are going to be surprised. I think when it's all said and done, Tim Patrick might be, like, if we're talking from like a fantasy standpoint, I think Tim Patrick might be the best option and the most consistent option. Because so just looking at Russell Wilson's history, right? Like
so
more recently,
so before I time mark this, and throw it back in your face. When you say most consistent, you're talking like almost like a standard deviation. Like
yes,
So like if he catches for 60 yards, he's probably just going to catch for like plus or minus 10 all the time.
Yes, yeah.
But like through the whole, I mean, if he caught 60 yards a game, that would be incredible. But through the whole season, he's not going to have a stat line of anything more than you would indicate Tim Patrick to be. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. I'm not saying that Tim Patrick is going to be the number 1 fantasy wide receiver.
Perfect. Because the way you were almost saying is that Tim Patrick was going to be better than Jerry Jeudy. And no. I was gonna save that. I was gonna create a memoir.
No. That's not one of my too hot to handle takes. Because so if you look at it, right, like DK Metcalf was the superstar. And then he had Tyler Lockett, and then I don't even know who else they had, but they for a while they had Gerald Everett, fucking Will Dissly was there for a while too, but like DK Metcalf was up and down, right? Tyler Lockett always had like anywhere between 7 and 10 targets a game. Like, so DK Metcalf might have had a game where he caught 10 balls for 192 yards and 2 touchdowns, but then 3 weeks later, he caught 2 balls for 35 yards. Whereas Tyler Lockett is consistently somewhere in that like 7 to 10, 6 to 10 range for somewhere between 80 and 100 yards. But occasionally, Lockett, like probably was 17 games in a season, probably 4 games out of those 17, he had like 12 catches for like 170 yards and 3 touchdowns. You know what I mean? Like, whereas like DK Metcalf has a higher ceiling, but he also has a lower floor. Whereas Tyler Lockett's more of like predictable, right? And I think you're going to see that a little bit with more of like Tim Patrick. Like there's going to be like, if Tim Patrick averages 14 points a game, like the standard deviation, like you said, to use math terms, that here we go. When have you used math? Well, now the standard deviation for Tim Patrick off of 14 is going to be a lot less. Whereas Jerry Jeudy, his average might be 18, but the standard deviation's a lot higher. So like he'll have a bunch of games where he's in like the mid to upper 20s, but he'll also have some games where he's got like 7 points,
No, I think you're wrong. Because I immediately went and looked at Tyler Lockett stats for 21 season. Okay.
Yeah,
because
I'm glad you did, because I was gonna.
Was he injured? Was he injured this year?
He played all 17 games.
Russell Wilson was injured though. He missed like 6 games.
Okay. I don't know what games
go back to the 2020 season.
Okay.
I know, because Russell Wilson was my fantasy quarterback.
So on like stupid math shit, I did do standard deviations today, but I calculated it in Google Sheets equals STD or whatever.
Yeah.
Equals gonorrhea, whatever you need.
Yeah.
And that's how I calculated my standard deviations.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Got anything yet on Tyler Lockett?
This is you type in Tyler Lockett 2020 season and like you just get the whole season,
Yeah,
like
they don't break it down by game.
That's by game. I'm gonna type in by game. Like you have to do it all.
Either way, one thing we're gonna see just how good Metcalf is.
Here we go. Okay. He does look better in the 20. Okay. He does look better in the 2020 season. He's getting primarily at least 5 targets a game, closer to the 7 or 8 each game.
Yeah.
He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He had 6 games out of 16 where he had 5 or less, where he had 4 or 5. And then everything else was above 7. At least target wise.
Yeah.
So that makes sense, because I remember like Tyler Lockett was so inconsistent. He would have 2 for 35, 2 for 13, and then the next week he would blow up for 8 for 170.
Yeah, that's what happens when Geno Smith is your quarterback.
Okay, that makes more sense. I forget about that type of shit. Okay, but yeah, okay, I can understand that. I don't know. I think that the only reliable like week to week guy is going to be Cortland Sutton. Like I think that he's just way too talented to like have a dud every single game. I think he's the only guy that you can start every single week on a like that's not matchup based.
Yeah.
I think you'll be stuck starting Jeudy though. So full disclosure, I gave up fantasy a few years back. I can't fucking do it, and I can't take the ACL tears.
I'm sorry.
But Jeudy, I think, is going to put people in a weird position where he's going to have just enough up that you're going to have to suck up his downs, because he will catch 6 for 120 and 2 touchdowns, maybe a couple weeks in a row, but then it'll be 3 for 40, no touchdowns. And then like the highs will be there. And then, when he's missing, he's missing. I think, because
I would agree.
He's obviously the most talent. I think he is the most talented and fits what Russell Wilson has done the best with before, where a little bit smaller, but a little bit faster, whereas Sutton's a little bit bigger. because Judy's gonna catch some bombs, I assume, or he's gonna catch some over the middle and run. And then, you know, Sutton will be less boom or bust because he's going to have less of those, you know, deep balls. And it's like, did he break it? Did he not? Or did he get behind the defense? Did he not?
Yeah. Like I'm thinking like Sutton is at least a 5 for 60 every game where you can a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 every week. You know, you can put him in there and you can expect 10 fantasy points weekly.
Right.
You know, on his low games. That's my thoughts.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair.
So those are my final thoughts.
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch Drew Lock in fucking Seattle.
I have no interest in watching any.
They got to draft someone, don't they? They can't run with those 3 idiots.
No, they'll have to draft somebody.
Yeah, I mean, either this year or next year. I don't know a ton about the draft class coming in, but
that's pretty shitty.
I know it's not good.
You want to talk about like
they could go get Teddy Bridgewater.
Total opposite though. That's a good point. But like Russell Wilson has been your quarterback for what, 12 years?
10 or 12 now. Yeah.
And he's smaller. He's shifty. He's got a decent arm, but like he's not known for like a fucking, you know, doesn't have a howitzer. And now what do you bring in? A 6'5" goofy guy with an absolute cannon for an arm. Like those two styles are like totally different. Like your offense that you've lived off of for the last 12 years is like, you got to almost start from scratch.
What offense?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you no longer have like a mobile quarterback.
Or
a good one.
You mean your offense isn't let Russ run around until someone's wide open deep?
Yeah, yeah. Also, RIP to Drew Lock's ACLs, because at least Russell Wilson could run away from the pressure, but that offensive line is so fucking bad. Drew Lock is going to get absolutely murdered. Worse than Joe Burrow.
Ugh.
So
I can see
people
it.
forget Joe Burrow fucking blew out his knee in the Super Bowl. No one talks about that.
Yeah, it's true.
So
they need that's the biggest thing. They need the O-line help. He was pressured and hit more than like any quarterback in like a couple of years or something.
Was it officially come out? Like, did he tear his MCL in the Super Bowl?
I don't believe so.
I don't know if it was a full tear.
Yeah, he did. He partially blew out his knee.
Yeah, but I don't think it was a tear. I think he was like no surgery required type thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll see.
Listen to the tendon doc.
Yeah. All right, Scratch, you got a final thought?
Yes. Opening day is scheduled. First round of golf is scheduled for a week from today.
Oh, let's go. I thought you were going to talk about the Red Sox and Dick Flavin.
What do I care? Although segue, when I was telling the kids that their homework assignment of the poems that they had to break down and whatever, I did tell them that was useless, because I was like, who writes poems outside of Dick Flavin? And of course, naturally, they need to know who's Dick Flavin. I'm like, oh, he's the Red Sox poet laureate. And they go, oh, the Red Sox have a poet laureate? I go, no. He is the Red Sox poet laureate, but he is not employed by the Boston Red Sox. And I go, he just shows up when they leave for spring training, but there was no spring training this year. So we got we're planning to play Old Scotty in Bridgewater, Massachusetts, week from today.
Nice.
Weather should be cooperative. I think it's supposed to snow here tomorrow, but
yeah,
the weather should wipe that out by next Tuesday. We'll see. And that's going to coincide with my rib back junction kind of coming back to working order. I was went after some drivers today. That was pretty good. I think we might be back.
Nice.
So I'll be primed and ready to shoot a nice, cool 42. Or you know what? That round will probably be good, because the first one's always good because there are no expectations, and then you start getting like the nice, cool, like real mediocre numbers.
Yeah. Of course. I can't wait. I gotta get.
We could be back. Some of the guys played on. They played yesterday down in Rhode Island, so it's out there. But I think my opening day is gonna be pushed off.
Yeah. I mean, we got ours in March last year at one point. I mean, I know everything was shut down, so kind of fucked us. But didn't we?
Last year? Didn't we? Was shut down last year?
Oh no. Sorry, I meant I conflated the last 2 years. I don't know. I have it written down somewhere. It's in my Google Sheets.
I played in February last year. I drove down to Allendale.
Oh, nice.
But no, I haven't got out this year. Needed the snow to melt. It's melted down south. Like you could go Cape or you could go Rhode Island. But between my back being fucked and just not being able to get out this week, that's what's pushing me off to next week. But we're almost there. We're back.
I like it. All right. So my final thought is, I alluded to it earlier. COVID has absolutely fucking destroyed people's brains. And it's ruined our kids. It's ruined our kids. I don't have kids, but like it's ruined the generation of kids right now. At least the ones that I'm exposed to. So the school that I work at, this week was the first week where they went mask optional. So I would say 90% of the students continued to wear masks this week. And some of it is really bad. Like, so some of it now, so like I said, I've been teaching there for like a month at this point. And some of the kids, the ones that are still wearing the masks, are going around asking for like hand sanitizer and like wipes to like wipe shit down. So I can say that like, this is new, right? Because I've been there for a month. So all of the time that I've been there, when everyone was required to wear a mask, no one was asking for sanitizing wipes. No one was doing any shit like that. But now all of a sudden this week, because some kids, like I said, like probably 10% only of the kids aren't wearing masks, some of the ones that still are freaking the fuck out. So like, again, I teach 6th grade. So there's 11-year-old kids that are flipping out. Like, I need to wipe down my locker. I need to wipe down my desk, like hand sanitizer everywhere. And like, never mind that, like, we know that shit doesn't work, right? Like, we figured that shit out within the first like 4 to 6 months of COVID, that it doesn't live on surfaces. But like, yet these kids are so fucked that like, they're terrified, right? They're broken. And so the kids themselves or whatever, like I said, they're broken, whatever. One of the adults said to me the other day, we were just shooting the shit in the hallway, and he goes, yeah, I still have the mask. Like, I probably won't wear it, except for this one class that I have that has 30 kids in it. So I'll wear it in that class, but not my other ones. And I'm sitting there like, so you'll put a mask on in the class that you have 30 kids in, but your 5 other classes that you have 20 kids in, you're not going to wear a mask. So that's being exposed to 100 kids over 5 classes with 20 kids in it. But that one class that has 30 in it, that's when you're going to wear the mask.
Yeah, that's the one that's not safe.
It's like this, like, what's the point? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, and I talked to Sexy Chris about this earlier, or I think it was earlier or yesterday. And he was like, dude, people are so dumb. They default back to just stupidity. Like, the default is to go to stupidity. And it's like, just, it doesn't make sense, man. Like, yeah, I'm only going to wear the mask in the class that I have 30 kids in. All right, well, what about the 100 other kids that you're exposed to during the day in your 5 other classes?
Yeah, no, those classes are fine, dude.
Yeah, well, no, there's only 20 kids in those classes. Like, everyone knows the cutoff for COVID is 28. So if you have more than 28 people in a room, COVID gets jumped up, gets hyped up. It likes to party.
The only time that it's available now.
Yeah. 20 people isn't enough for it to get out of bed.
Like, nah.
Yeah. Oh, you only have 20? Nah, I'm gonna hang over here. Oh, you got 30? Let's go. I'm spreading, baby. I'm spreading.
Yeah.
I mean, we're never getting like, dude. So like, it's bad, obviously, and you are never fixing people now, dude. Like, look in my rear view. I'm stopped at a stoplight. Person's in her car, alone, wearing the mask. Now, like, still now.
Yeah.
I'm like, we can't, like, dude. Or you know what? Some people don't want to move on, and they never will, and that's fine. Just don't fucking talk to me.
Yeah.
I got no fucking time for you.
I feel like I need like one of those electric shocks that like erases like my memory. You know, like one of those things.
If
where
you
it's
could,
like, you know what, I can't deal with it.
If you could erase my memory from the second or the day after we returned from Savannah,
yeah,
to fuck, I don't want to come back yet. I don't think it's still kind of stupid.
Just pull a Rick and Morty. You know, the episode when they like take the memories out and they store them in the room.
Oh yeah,
that's all we got to do.
Yeah, I would absolutely, like, I need no memory of this whatsoever.
Yeah. And then when you need to remember something that happened during that time, you just put it back on the fucking helmet and then you get the memory.
Not even worth it.
Rick and Morty. There we go. Ahead of our time.
Worth it. I would take all the I would take all the fucking memories and I would fucking just spike them off the ground.
Smash them. Fuck them. Don't need them.
Or I guess anything that happened in public, I guess, because
yeah,
I just got no use for any of it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is going to do it for us. So, Shawn, thank you for hopping on.
Hey, this was fun.
Tell the people where they can find you.
You know, if I haven't had to pee for the last like hour,
yeah,
I would have been.
I do too.
Yeah, it's insane. Like I've been jumping up and down in my seat here. I was like, final thoughts. Oh my God, just make this quick. Like,
yep.
You know, I can't even laugh. But no, you can find me on Instagram, you know, at Growth by Shawn. You can find my podcast, Growth by Shawn. You can go to my website, growthbyshawn.com. Basically anything that says Growth by Shawn is me, Shawn Rivers. like that's it, you know. So you can I don't know, I do a bunch of different shit. So, you know, I'm a pretty cool guy. You can reach out to me and we can chat and I can let you know how I can be a benefit to your life, hopefully. You know, that's it. Like that's all I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I dig it. This was a lot of fun. We gotta have you back too, because we didn't talk at all about what your podcast is about, and we didn't even touch on your cross-country road trip. So
yeah, I don't care. You know, this was fun. No, it was just wicked easy. You know, like it was just a good conversation that I had. You know.
Yeah.
So
that's the one thing that I've taken from podcasts too, is how easy it is to talk for 2 hours.
It is. Like it doesn't even feel like we've talked for 2 hours. Honestly.
No,
it doesn't.
It's like when I watch and listen to Rogan and they go for like 4 hours and the guests are always like, oh my God, I had no idea. And I'm like, I can totally see how you can just get
I can relate
for 4 hours.
I really can. No, for sure. So I hope people are going to listen to this one.
Yeah.
You know, this is a fun one. No, for real.
Yeah. This was a lot of fun.
But yeah. Hey, let's meet up and do a podcast together. We can get some drinks going, things like that. And only God knows what's going to happen there.
I'm always down for that.
You know, so for sure. No, I really appreciate you having me today.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Sweet.
All right.
That's all I got.
All right. So we're going to give a quick shout out to mybookie.com. Use mybookie.com and the promo code. So use the promo code at mybookie.com. It is Sarcasm Pod to double your deposit up to $1,000 over there. Next up, we have grillyourassoff.com. The best stuff. Shawn, you ever use grillyourassoff.com?
I have not. I've never heard
amazing.
of it.
Do you grill? Do you cook?
What is this? Fucking reality tonic?
Yeah.
Hey, you like grilling?
You like grilling?
I'm an air fryer guy. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Hey,
it depends on the season. It depends on the season. Once summertime comes, I will grill.
Yeah, you get that's perfect. You can use grillyourassoff.com. They've got 10 different flavors of seasoning over there. They got barbecue sauces, they got pickles. You like pickles? You look like a pickle guy.
I do love pickles, honestly. Yeah. Yo, we were in Wisconsin and every single place we went to served us a side of pickles.
Yeah, there you go.
Every place.
Grillyourassoff.com. They got their own pickles. You can use our promo code SarcasmPod when you check out for 15% off your entire order. Best thing about that too is it's every single time you check out. It's a multi-use coupon. So you want to buy a bunch of stuff, or you want to buy a small amount of things because you want to try it out. Sarcasm Pod gets you 15% off. You love it. You want to buy more. You go back. Sarcasm Pod gets you 15% off again. It's amazing. Grillyourassoff.com. You can't beat them.
I'm in.
So you can clip that, put it on their website, send it to their Instagram, let them post that. You can get us on Instagram at Sarcasm Speaks Pod. The Twitter is sarcasm_speaks. Facebook page is Sarcasm Speaks. Our website, sarcasmspeaks.com. Like Shawn said, pretty much anything that says Sarcasm Speaks is us. You go to the merch store, get all kinds of stuff with our logo on it. It's fun. You can get the blog. I'm posting my sports betting on our blog now on the website at sarcasmspeaks.com because I don't want to make you guys pay for Ultimate Sports Networks. This is why I was in sales for legitimately 2 days at LA Fitness and quit because I don't like making people pay for shit that they don't need to pay for. So yeah, that's it. So until next time, good night, everyone.